Yeah. So I was up late last night, and because we had some another bad storm front come through, it looks like we can't get rid of these guys. We got another one this afternoon, man. So I didn't have anything to do, and I was in a message thread. I think it might have been on one of Anthony's videos, and somebody said the George Musser video is posted. So I said, "Yeehaw!" So I went over there and I start listening to it. Now listen, I think George Musser, he's an amiable chap. There's no doubt about it. I kind of like him, but his scientific literacy is hovering just below second grade. And I knew this was going to happen because if he undertook, even if as soon as he said a word regarding this subject, he was through. His foot was going to go in his mouth. So I just, got the popcorn and just sat back and listened to it. So let me go through some of the things I picked out. I didn't pick everything out. All right. There wasn't enough time. I just picked the elephants in the room out. There might be some more elephants. I left the whole Eratosthenes experiment between these doofuses alone because that speaks for itself. So let's go over some of these. George Musser. Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. So what the fuck, dude? So an amoeba is a chartreuse windsock. So an amoeba isn't a chartreuse windsock, but we can think of it as a chartreuse windsock. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man. So right there, in fact I posted this message onto Craig's underneath Craig's video, and he pinned it. I just stopped there, and then I went on and conducted my business. I figured that's all I needed. I mean, because this is ridiculous. We could essentially stop right here. However, I didn't. So the next one, George Musser. It looks at a progression of scientific ideas. And I said, what in the world? What is a scientific idea? How do they differ from just plain old everyday ideas? Such as you're a double speaking, fork tongued pretender clown idea. How about that? How does a scientific idea differ from that idea? The next one, George Musser. Even Newton and his contemporaries had a real problem with that law, namely that it described gravity's effects, but it really described how gravity works. And Newton actually, in his own life, tried to develop, unsuccessfully as it turns out, an understanding of how gravity works. What in the world? Number one, laws describe the what's and the is's. They never explain. Scientific theories explain the hows and the whys. And in his rhetoric, he said, describe the how. Well, professor, descriptions only deal with the what's and is's. Explanations only deal with the hows and whys. Never the twain shall meet. So he's got a problem, not only with the science here, but what descriptions and explanations mean. We're back to that. I mean, I learned this, third, fourth grade at worst? George Musser, the next one. Einstein's role was to fill in that mechanism. Well, what in the world? Professor, scientific theories never, ever, ever attempt to mechanize laws. If they did, they wouldn't be friggin' laws anymore. For fuck's sake. Watch. Post the mechanism for entropy, the second law of thermodynamics. By the way, you'd fail fifth grade general science and second grade mathematics. The next one, George E. Musser. The thing is about Newton's law, you can't take it literally. What? So we can't take equations literally anymore, Georgie. Thanks, priceless. The next one, Georgie Musser. This is used routinely by NASA. He's talking about Newton's law. Is used routinely by NASA to do its missions. By just all of us, whenever we act, we understand the formations of planets and so forth. I mean, what in the world? Please show how you use the now debunked Newton's law in the formations of planets. Please couch your horse shit, debunk law explanation, laughing out loud, in the context of Boyle's gas law, the second law of thermodynamics, and Jean's mass force. The next one, this is one of my favorites, and I think I put some time hacks in here for you. So we got Georgie Musser at 840. Einstein came along and said, what could cause this force or apparent force? And Craig at 1144 said, we still don't fully know the complete cause of gravity. Georgie Musser's response, oh no, not at all. What in the world? Real, actual scientific theories identify the cause. That's their primary mission in life. Priceless. You two bozos are abject fuckwits. By the way, you'd both fail 5th grade general science. And P.S., since you two bozos just admitted there is no cause for fairy tale gravity, then ipso facto, there is no scientific theory of gravity. Just that simple. And apparent force? So a not real force, is a not real force a force? Is a not real donkey a donkey? Goodness gracious. The next one, Georgie Musser. You can derive the Newtonian force law from the Einsteinian field equations of general relativity. What in the world? Really? Go ahead and derive a force of a debunked law from a non-force, non-scientific theory. And please, can you make achromatic rainbow soup sandwiches too? We're going to be interested in that. Craig, he basically says, he's talking about Anthony. He basically says that Newtonian gravity and Einsteinian gravity are mutually exclusive. George Musser, that's certainly wrong. Einstein would have never said that. What in the world? No, he surely wouldn't have, because he was a doofus. I said that. More importantly, I can easily show it. Number one, Newton's is allegedly a law. That's debunked. Einstein's is allegedly a scientific theory. That's well, you can't debunk a non-existent scientific theory anyway. So, number two, Newtonian gravity is a force. Einsteinian gravity is not a force. Number three, they're not even in the same geometry, for crying out loud. Newtonian gravity is Euclidean 3 space, whereas Einsteinian gravity is Pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. Number four, Newtonian gravity, the law of superposition holds. Einsteinian gravity, the law of superposition doesn't hold. Number five, Newtonian gravity speaks to instantaneous actions at a distance. Einsteinian gravity is limited to the speed of light. Married and bachelors have more in common than the debunked Newtonian and Einstein's fairy tales. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, that was a great read when I first woke up this morning.
I mean, listen, you don't need a science education. You don't need rocket science here. Just Launchpad security just to listen to him. This is a joke.
Apparently he described it as being magic quite a few times.
He did. I kind of rolled past that one because he also said magic in the citation that I gave to Anthony. I've been using that for years.
When he says he snapped the wand in two, where does he say magic? Oh, not a magical force, right?
Yeah, it's in the citation. Yeah. He called Newtonians, and listen, I told you this before, and I'm starting to go down a road that I shouldn't have. This is not Newtonian gravity. Newton himself said not to ascribe it to him. So I'm sorry that I did it through this whole presentation. I was just quoting what he had said during the presentation. There is no Newtonian gravity. Okay, let's just, hold the horses right there. Newton has nothing to do with this.
Well, let's let's add to that by saying it's Reverend John Mitchell / Cavendish gravity.
And it's not even them, because Cavendish never calculated G. Never. This G showed up 207 years after Newton died. So, and it was by C.V. Boyce, Charles Vernon Boyce. Look it up. So I don't know what these people are talking about. They don't know Newton's law, for one. They don't know that Newton distanced himself. He said plainly, do not ascribe this bunk to me. And you'd have to be out of your mind to even consider it. Did he say that or did he not?
Yeah, don't ascribe gravity to me. He's pretty clear about it.
Yeah, so I'm not ascribing it to him. He's got other issues we could deal with later, but with gravity, no way. No chance. It's not Newton's. It's plain as day. So
you mean gravity, the force that is literally not a force, but we can act like it is? That one?
Yeah, that one. And you're going to have to define a force, like I said earlier. All these problems are stemming from the definition of a force. That's where the problem stems. And then you get branches off of this thing because no one has defined the term, right? Everyone's got a different idea, like I was saying before, and you get sidetracked into all these incoherent arguments and you lose the whole point. So define a force. If you go back to Newton, you're going to have a big damn problem, son.
Well, George Musser did. He called it the M, magic.
Magic. Well, thank you very much for that, John. That was a brilliant dissection of George Musser on Fight the Flat Earth.
I can't wait for the Eratosthenes experiment. I mean, he did talk about that. I felt that I didn't need to talk about. Number one, Eratosthenes never performed an experiment. That's the big one. So how is he performing another experiment based off a non-experiment? So what questions are people going to ask George Musser and Fat the Fat Earth?
Where are you getting your R value?
No, he said experiment. My first question is, what are the three constituents of an experiment? I'll bet you George doesn't even know. He's so far removed from his thesis with the convection currents on Venus. I'll guarantee you he doesn't know what the scientific method is.
Well, just so it's part of this recording, because I'm going to trim this out. So, independent variable, dependent variable, and controls.
Yep. Those are three parts of a scientific experiment, right? Well, where'd you get the independent and dependent variables? Oh, the hypothesis. So we actually need a hypothesis also. So you say, where did we get the dependent variable? Well, that's your observed phenomenon. Oh, so we need the observed phenomenon. So those three are the indispensable steps of the scientific method. I say again, observe a phenomena, hypothesis, experiment. You could put anything else around it or before it that you want. You could conjure anything you want, pseudoscientists, pretender clown muppets. But those three have to be there. You hearing me, clowns? Unbelievable. I would even have to say this.
Well, thanks again.
You're welcome.